What?
You have room? You want me to move some things?
Good evening.
Hi, Rabbi.
Erev Tov, Rabbi Prog.
There are many topics in Shah today. Let's focus a second. It's fascinating stuff. Let's look at the Pesukim. Look a second, and if you have the art school, it's page 1008, it's Perek Yud Gimel, Pesuk Yud Gimel. You know, let's start in the beginning of Perek Yud Gimel. Go to Perek Yud Gimel, Pesuk Bet. כי יקום בקרבך נביא או חולם חלום. A man that claims to be a prophet. ונתן עליך אות או מופת. הוא בא האות והמופת. Not any lunatic that claims to be a Navi is being taken seriously as a Navi. But somehow he has a power to him. But he's using his power to say, לאמור, נלך אחרי אלוהים אחרים, אשר לא ידעתם ונאהבתם. Normally, if a Navi Emet tells us on a temporary base to do an Avera, like Eliyahu Behar Kamel, this was an Avera. You cannot build Mizbeach. Here, he's using his so-called power as a Navi. Let's go and worship Avodah Zarah. לא תשמע את דברי הנביא, ההוא על חולם החלום הוא. כי מנסה השם אלוקיכם אתכם, לדעת הישכם אוהבים את השם אלוקיכם, בכל לבבכם ובכל נפשכם. This is a test. In a minute you'll see that some of the Rishonim, the Baal HaTurim, says there is a remez here, in a minute, to Yeshu also. But what is the Pasuk telling us? That sometimes in life, even though it looks like an open miracle, we cannot follow anyone by the miracles he is doing. Especially in this case when he's using it for negative. But we saw more than once that the Rambam says in Hilchot Yesodei HaTorah that Moshe Rabbeinu lo האמינו בו ישראל בפני האותות והמפתים. People didn't believe in Moshe because of the miracles he did, שהמאמין על פי האות והמופת, יש בליבו דופי means he's not a real believer.
It's only in signs.
This is the Rambam. So there is a fascinating Rabbeinu Nissim. Rabbeinu Nissim is not the Ran. Rabbeinu Nissim is one of the Geonim. You remember the story in Masechet Bava Metzia, and they had a machloket Rabbi Eliezer and the other Chachamim regarding Tanuro Shel Achna.
Oh, wow.
Says Rabbi Eliezer, אם הלכה כמותי, first it says, חרוב זה יוכיח. The boxer tree should be by, the Gemara says, a wind uprooted the boxer tree. אם הלכה כמותי, אמת המים תוכיח, and the water stopped flowing. אם הלכה כמותי, כותבי בית המדרש יוכיחו. Stand Rabbi Yeshua and he says, what are you mixing in? You have a rule over Shamayim. Fine. So basically he's telling us, the majority of Rabbi Eliezer disagree with you. So don't try to convince us of the miracles. Fine. But if so how come when Rabbi Eliezer says, Charuv ze yochiach, or Amat hamayim tochiach, so how come the Charuv did prove? How come the Amat hamayim did prove? Says Rabbeinu Nissim, this brings this psukim. Ki menaseh Hashem Elokechem etchem. See, in history it happened many times. It happens today, it will happen in the future, certainly in the past. Yes, people come up, people believe in them. Here, of course, Rabbi Eliezer was a respected Tana. Here, of course, the other Chachamim headed by Rabbi Yeshua. All right, perhaps Rabbi Eliezer was bigger than them. Since the halacha is acharei Rabbi, to lo b'shamayim means don't try to use shamayim. What does it really mean, Larry? What does it really mean, lo b'shamayim? Listen carefully what the commentators explain in general, then we'll come back to the story. The Gemara tells us in Masechet Shabbat that when Moshe Rabbeinu came to receive the Torah, the Malachim, the angels, claimed to Hashem, why are you giving it to people? Why are you giving it to him? Okay, if you tell it normally, it says in the Torah to put tefillin. What did the Malachim think? You should put the Torah up there. Would they put tefillin on? Would they keep Shabbat? What's the argument about? Says the Beit HaLevi, many say, but he says it is always very clear. Of course, the Chumash was written for people. Chumash was written for us to keep Shabbat, to keep Kashrut. The Malachim cannot fulfill it. But here's the but. The but is when major questions come up, they wanted this major decisions not to be decided by the Sanhedrin Gadol, but still be decided by Shamayim. So, lo b'shamayim means Hashem should keep the decision on major questions. But if you think about it, yes. Rabbi Feinstein writes in the introduction to his first volume. He says, who I am to write a Sefer Shalot Utshuvot? Who am I to write it? But I try as much as I can. I think a lot before I say what I say. And I write what I say. What is he saying? He's saying that if your kavanah is not publicity, neither social media, no an article on the paper, no salary, Hashem is helping you to find the truth. Yes? Because if Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai, in every generation we had people who were in charge to, about our generation, about 100 years ago, about 200 years ago. And it's fine. If someone can, Shlomo Zalman Auerbach writes to Moshe that he is asking Mechila, that he has to strongly argue about this. He says, what are you asking me Mechila? you have the full right to say, obviously it's a very serious. According to Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, a member of Hatzalah that went on a mission on Shabbat cannot come back, cannot drive his car back.
You mean the ambulance? He can't drive the ambulance back.
If it's everyone agrees that this is the only ambulance in town, of course you can drive it back. I'm talking about, if you remember, in the 70s, 80s, and a Hatzalah member took a fellow that needed really a hospital, he took him to Manhattan. He took him Friday night, yes? What right do you have to drive back? Okay, Hatzalah today is relying on the Psak of Moshe Feinstein. Of course, it depends a lot how you learn the Gemara in Masechet Eruvin. And of course, Shlomo Zalman strongly learns the Gemara differently. Now, this is a perfect example. Yes? I'm using that example only, yes? It was here, now a neighbor with a fellow by the name of Yehuda Gabriel. He was a member of Hatzalah. When the great rabbis, not only Rabbi Feinstein, came up with the idea that the driver cannot drive back, he went to the Derbetziner Rov. He's not alive already 25 years. He was one of the great poskim, and he says to him, me and my friends cannot interfere in halachic decisions, but consider the but. Because if I just make kiddush, and before I had a chance to wash, I got Hatzalah called it, I have to drive to a distance. In the back of my mind, when I drive, and I do as best as I can, I'm still coming back that night. If I know that I'm stuck in Manhattan and it's 2 days Pesach and I'm leaving the middle of the Seder, I would call Hatzalah Erev Pesach. Don't call me this. I'm off the chart. Now, you do understand that it's serious, yes? Yes. The issue is really not should you drive your car or not. Why don't you take the train from Broadway? Where is the Mount Sinai? Broadway.
1/10 and 1/10 in
Take
Madison.
the train. Take a Uber. Right. The difference between him driving his car or taking a train or taking a cab is doing 10,000 Averot on Shabbat, or doing a small Averot. He has to be home, Say that. This is really the issue. Okay, today, Hatzalah here on 16th Avenue, they have 2 Italians every Jewish holiday, Shabbat or Yom Tov. They pay them, this is a special fund for that, yes? So every time Hatzalah goes out, the Italians follow. They drive the car back, you understand? The ambulance, they can drive back, the Hatzalah members, but the cars. But if you go to the Hatzalah on Ocean Avenue, Avenue L, the founder and the posek there was of David Cohen. He says, I'm a Talmid from Moshe and I heard from him many times. There's no need for goyim. Remember, you realize, again, this is not a simple argument now, because it's a question of another $250,000 a year. You have to pay 2 men every Shabbat. And I go Shabbat early in the morning. I pass the Hatzalah station here. I always see them, yes? Bringing back cars or bringing back the ambulance. The answer is, Moshe is in America. This is his psak, the Gamal. So when we say here, the Navi is giving you a miracle. He's a Baba. You don't listen to Babas. You listen to Gdolei Torah Amitim and miracles or other. But People are people. People are always looking for, especially people who are desperate, always looking for
I'll send you a copy of the notes.
a quick help. They believe it. Kach ze. By Hasidim, it's exactly the same, you know. But the Torah is teaching us here the oath and the mofet that the guy is giving you. So going back, says the Bet HaLevi, the argument with the Malachim was, give the Torah to the people, but the decision give to us. And Hashem says, no, I'm giving it. Shamayim לבני אדם, shamayim להשם והארץ נתן לבני אדם. A good example, I'm just using a good example, yes. So when a community elects a local rabbi, no, he's giving the service to the community the rabbi is supposed to do. Give sermons, give milah, pidyon haben, funeral. But every good graduate of YU understands that there are many questions that you have to ask someone much bigger and more experienced than you.
I know.
This is part of the Mesorah Torah, yes? Problem is that many people participate in classes. They hear, general rules. They apply it.
Hold on one second. Okay, I have to get something.
Sometimes they are right, sometimes they are wrong, sometimes they are partially right. But this is the danger. You have to teach what you have to teach. And sometimes you have to find some leniencies because of a specific situation. My wife has a very good friend.
So what did you just say?
She was an audiologist in Brooklyn College. Smart woman. She was Jewish, Shomer Masoret. She had in her class a female student who she realized was very religious. So sometimes after the class, the professor was asking the student, in Hon LeHon, she invites her to spend Shabbat in her house. We developed a very nice relationship. And the teacher is becoming really fully religious. Everything is beautiful, except her husband was a very nice, he still is, Baruch Hashem, still alive, very smart, very educated Rosh, he says, I'm not becoming a Shomer Shabbat. It's that for me. They were intelligent enough, it rarely happens, but intelligent enough, he told you can do whatever you want in the house on Shabbat, and I'll do whatever I want, which is fine also. However, she learns now the halachot of Taharat HaMishpacha. And a few days in a month, she and her husband can have a relationship. For other things, she had a special rabbi, not an elected rabbi. The serious posek, he taught her A, B, C. Whatever he told her, no one will ever find out because it was only for her. The chokhmah in real rabbanim gedolim is to understand the person, to understand the situation. What is min haTorah, what is min Rabbanan? Baruch Hashem, they have two girls. Baruch Hashem, the girls.
ESPN and other top sports networks.
Baruch Hashem, girls graduated college. Baruch Hashem, they are professionals. Baruch Hashem, they are married. They have children. And the husband is still not religious. I have to give him a lot of credit because, of course, he went to shul on Shabbat because he wanted his girls to have the experience. He agreed to send his daughters to a religious school. But this is his parashat re'eh. Many of the situations are in every community, almost every time. Everyone knows Ezra. You remember that the original chief rabbi here in the Sephardic community, Yaakov Kassim, This is in the 50s. Most people went to work on Shabbat. He came once to shul and he saw a man in the message saying, Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi, where are you going? He's going to work. So the rabbi didn't tell him, don't go to work. He says, listen, I'm in for Shachrit. Shachrit. You come to an early minyan. I mean, this is after the rabbi died, of course, the story came out. The man eventually became Shomer Shabbat, yes. Can you tell someone, okay, come to Shachrit and go to work afterwards? Mel Cohen, did you ever hear from Mel Cohen, Larry? Mel Cohen says, he says his father used to work on Shabbat in Atlanta.
Believes.
The rabbi realized if he's not, so no one took him to shul on Shabbat, even his brother. The rabbi used to give him a coin and say, here, Shabbat morning, put the coin, go with the train, come to shul. Are you allowed to say it? Of course not. The answer is, of course, yes for him, yes. First, he came here, his brother came every week for the shul. Later, his mother decided that he moved to New York. This is what the psukim, this is what the psukim are telling us here. And originally, when the conservative movement began, the original idea was, look, not everyone can keep all of its words, but we know my father-in-law said that many graduates graduated with him in 49 or whatever from YU, became conservative rabbis at that time, conservative shul. In Israel shul today, everything was there except maybe the Mechitza. Today, the conservative movement went very, very far. Because you need a real Gedolei Torah to say yes, no, what is a must, what should you fight, what's not. But listen to something fascinating now. I saw it today afternoon. Wait a second. You know, the Bala to win, or the tool. Everyone knows that the tool is the base of the Shulchan Aruch, which means 150 years before the Shulchan Aruch came, the tool divided the topics in Shas, Torah Chaim, Yoreh De'ah, Eben Ha'ezer, and Choshen Mishpat. The tool is the one that divided into subjects, the topics. Later, when the Beit Yosef came, he wrote commentary on the tool, which was basically the foundations of the Shulchan Aruch. Every time you really want to understand why the Shulchan Aruch wrote and where he took it, you always go to the commentary of the Beit Yosef on the tool. But interesting, which means he was a very big Talmid Chacham, not big, like, oh, it's a big rabbi. But everything we have came from him. Nevertheless, he had a mathematical head also. So he wrote a commentary on the Chumash, and very often he finds, he said that in bed he used to have numbers. He finds many, many fascinating gematria. Listen to something fascinating. Open Perek Yud Gimel Pasuk Bet. Here we right there, yes. Listen carefully. Ki yakum bekirbecha navi, o cholem chalom, natan lecha ot umofet. מה פירוש המילים כי יקום בקרבך? I'm reading you the English article. There should stand up in your midst. So they translated the word b'kirbecha. You do understand that you can read the pasuk without this word. Ki yakum navi o cholem chalom. Of course, if the Navi or Cholem Chalom are standing, where are they doing it? In South Africa, in the North Pole? Of course, it's Bekir Becha, yes? Says the Baal HaTurim, hear this? Bekir Becha, בגימטריה זה האישה. Yes? Are you trying to figure it out? Kuf Reish is 500, Chav 520. Yes? Kir Becha, Kuf Reish 300, the Chav is 20. And yet 523. Isha, Zua Isha. What does this mean, Zua Isha?
What's the Isha?
Isha is a woman. So, Ashtut, what he really meant was, as he does very often, the Sifri, which is Midrash Halacha, says, Bekir Becha lerabot et Isha, which means 1500 years before him, which means, says the Meshech Chochmah, says the Meshech Chochmah, not only a man can be a prophet. It says, V'chiyakum bekir becha navi or cholem chalom. Not only a man can be a prophet. A woman, Deborah, was a Nebiah. Huldah was a Nebiah, yes? Says the Meshech Chochmah, if she is a Nebiah, like Deborah, like Huldah, we would listen to her the same as we listen to a Navi, except, of course, if the Pasuk says here, they tell you to do Avodah Zarah. This is a simple shot in the Baal HaTurim, but the Baal Zua Isha. Fine? This is the business. The only reason I'm telling it to you, even though here it is, Rabbi Akiva Eger says, it's not in our regular Rabbi Akiva Eger. You have, Larry, I think you have access to the Torah Shlema. The Torah Shlema brings it. Listen to this. Says Rabbi Akiva Eger, what are these psukim talking about? Yes? They're talking a prophet who's trying to convince us in the name of God to worship idols. Says the Rabbi Akiva Eger here, אני קורא לך, הפסוק שמדבר בנביא שקר רומז, וישו יימח שמו. Listen to this. לכן אמר, the pasuk says, כי יקום בקרבך נביא. I did it in the afternoon. Now you have a quick mathematical add. נביא בקרבך is the gematria 387. The gematria זו, האישה ובנה. Mary and a son, yes. אומר רב עקיבא איגר, אומר שמה שבעל הטורים כותב זו האישה, הוא לא מתכוון רק כמו שבמשך חוכמה לומד זו האישה, is a woman to be a prophet. The Torah is hinting here that there will be a time, yes, but האישה, האמא ובנה, and what are they telling us? They're telling us לעשות עבודה זרה. תשמע דבר מעניין. The book that I have brings in the commentary on the bottom. Rabbi Yom Tov Librag, whoever he was, found an old Chumash. Rabbi Yaakov is the son of the Rosh. The book was printed Tav Kuf Sadik Dalet over 200 years ago. But over there it says Navi begimatria ubna. They took out Aisha ubna, which means the censor took out from the. זאת אומרת, באמת, every major event in history is hinted somewhere in the Torah. The Gra says, ממש, everything. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. The Gra says, ממש, everything. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that are affecting us as a nation. בוודאי ובוודאי, events that אז הם אומרים שבפסוק הזה, זה פעם ראשונה בחיים שלי שראיתי את זה. I'll tell you why. But if you remember, we looked at the Rambam in Sefer Melachim. And if you remember in the old Rambam, then the Seder took out that the Rambam is saying. But the Rambam is saying that some of the prophecy, Narach Kochav Yaakov וקם שבט מישראל, some of the prophecy is to prove that whatever the Christians claim is not a myth. The Chidush is, why should our Holy Torah disprove? But the answer is because most of the world believed in it or believes in it. And Ishmael, our cousins, the Arabs, they're not claiming any religious claims. They simply claim that Ishmael was the one that went to the Akedah, and the Zohar says openly that because, remember the Zohar is hundreds of years before, the Zohar says that Ishmael claims to Yitzchak, you had the Brit to the 8th day, I had the Brit at 12. You didn't suffer at all, listen carefully. I read you once the Zohar, I have a copy of it in my Ishmael. The Zohar says this is why in the days to come, the Ishmaelim are going to claim that the land of Israel belongs to them. Because we saw in the Chumash, in Parashat Lech Lecha, there is a link between Eretz Israel and Brit Milah. If you remember, Hashem says to Abraham, have a Brit, and then I'll give you the land. They claim this is Ishmael, because Ishmael had this before. So to me, this claim of the Muslims is the way we read it. I mean, the way we read the Torah, and everyone agrees in the Torah we have, is that way. This is why last Shabbat, someone in the country told me that Yasser Arafat was brilliant. He came up with an idea that the Palestinians are descendants of the Yebusi. If you look in Rashi, in the Chumash, if you look in Tanakh, Yebusi was in Yerushalayim. And when Avimelech made covenants with Avimelech made with Abraham swore to him, we would not attack. So this is why the Yebusim, אתה מבין, הם טוענים, the Arabim טוענים, because Arafat understood that the biggest claim against them, you came from nowhere. Who are you representing? Why do you have a claim to Palestine? He says, אנחנו היבוסים. The fellow that told it to me told me that in every Palestinian school, elementary and high school, they teach. We wish, you understand, that all of our Jewish kids will believe that the land is ours, the same as the was over there. זה מבהיל מאוד לחשוב, כן, שנביא בקרבך זו האישה ובנה, או בקרבך זו האישה, אז referring דווקא לאישה, if she's a prophet, as the Meshech Chochmah says, as the Sifri says, but it refers to that woman. Makes more sense there, of course, זו האישה ובנה, because no one is interested in her. It's interested in Ubana. But Bezrat Hashem will continue to work this parasha. Fascinating, באמת. Gemarot el halachot, it has to do with Sanhedrin, with Avodah Zarah, very interesting stuff. So we need to have a wonderful night. Laila Tov, everyone.
Laila Tov, Rabbi Prague, Shikayach. Thank you.
How was the day in Israel? Sheket?
Quiet, then you get a Mazel Tov because the bris was today.
Oh, I'm embarrassed. You see that? I have to call my sister tomorrow.
You know what you should do, Rabbi Prague? You should tell your sister you had a dream And you let me see, I think maybe I know the name. And I'll tell you the name because I spoke to Rifki today because I wanted to tell her I think it's either it's been a long day and I wrote it down this morning. I think Natan Tzvi or something, but I could be wrong.
Oh, it's after the Rosh Hashiva of Mir. Okay, I'm going to call tomorrow morning. Thank you. I'll play the trick that you say. I'll just say, can I guess? Because your husband was me. Maybe you named him after the.
No, it's only in Smachot and it's wonderful and it's
Ken Yerbu.
right. It's beautiful.
But what is Trump claiming that there's a new peace
Dude,
treaty?
if I hope he knows.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Flattertov, Rabbi Prague.
No, I heard in the news, I heard here and there, I didn't know exactly what.